You believe you are free. Free to think, free to act, free to shape your own destiny. You were raised on this idea, told it from birth, reinforced by your parents, your teachers, your leaders, and even your entertainment. It is the great promise of modern civilization, freedom. But let me tell you something uncomfortable, something you may already feel but never dared to fully confront. Your freedom is an illusion. And when I say illusion, I don't just mean the obvious 9 to 5 cycle, the bills, the endless grind. The illusion of freedom penetrates much deeper. It invades your relationships, your identity, your beliefs, your body, and even your soul. The moment you start peeling away the layers, you will realize the horrifying truth. You are not as free as you think. Let's begin with the easiest place to see it. Your job. Most people spend the majority of their lives working. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, often more. And they call this freedom because, technically, you chose your career, your boss didn't hold a gun towards you, and you can quit whenever you like. But ask yourself, quit and do what? If you leave, you risk losing your home, your food, your security. What kind of choice is one where both options keep you trapped? And don't think your boss is free just because he earns more. Even he is enslaved to his title, his reputation, his shareholders, and his expectations. He is chained by the same system, only wearing a shinier collar. The CEO with the corner office is just as much a prisoner as the worker cleaning the floors. The only difference is that his cage comes with a better view. The philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau once wrote, "Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains." He was not exaggerating. The chains today are not made of iron, but they are made of contracts, mortgages, taxes, and fears. They are invisible, but stronger than steel. You may tell yourself, at least I have the freedom to vote, to choose my leaders. But here's the trick. Choice does not equal freedom. Ask yourself honestly, how different are your choices? Pepsi or Coke, Democrat or Republican, left or right, different labels on the same machine. You feel empowered because you moved a lever, but the machine itself remains unchanged. George Carlin, one of the few truth-tellers on a stage, once said, "The illusion of freedom will continue as long as it's profitable to continue the illusion." At the point where the illusion becomes too expensive to maintain, they will just take down the scenery, pull back the curtains, move the tables and chairs out of the way, and you will see the brick wall at the back of the theater. And when you see that brick wall, it will already be too late. Because the system doesn't need to silence you. It only needs to keep you distracted, divided, and convinced that your voice matters more than it actually does. You were born into a country. Did you choose it? Did you choose its flag, its anthem, its borders? No. Yet you will be asked to defend it, to pay for it, to obey it. From the day you are born, you are given an identity as a citizen, taxpayer, or subject. Governments decide where you can travel, what you can consume, what you can say, and what you can keep. And when you break their rules, they remind you quickly how free you really are. But here's the part most people ignore. Even the leaders are not free. Presidents and prime ministers may appear powerful, but they too are slaves to institutions, to corporations, to unseen networks of influence. Their freedom is also bounded. That is why power is never truly personal, it is systemic. But the greatest illusion is not external, it is internal. Because even your thoughts, your beliefs, your values are not your own. You think you are free in your mind, but everything inside it has been designed, programmed, and reinforced by the system itself. You believe in feminism or traditionalism. You believe in left-wing or right-wing politics. You believe in religion or atheism. But have you ever stopped to ask, why do you believe these things? Were they the product of your own independent exploration, or were they given to you by family, schools, media, and cultural conditioning? From the cartoons you watched as a child to the news you read as an adult, your beliefs have been shaped long before you had the chance to question them. The system doesn't just control your body, it colonizes your mind. You were programmed to think within certain boxes, and you mistake the walls of the box for the edges of the universe. And don't think your children are safe. You may believe you are raising them freely, but their minds are already claimed by the state and its schools. They are taught what to think, what to believe, what to obey, long before they can understand the meaning of choice. You do not own their education. The government does. Let's go deeper. Even your identity is not free. The way you dress, the language you speak, the music you listen to, all of it is influenced by forces outside your control. Social media sells you an identity. Consumer culture sells you a lifestyle. You don't choose, you are chosen for. And then you spend your life defending an identity that was never truly yours. Nietzsche warned of this when he said, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." Owning yourself. How many people can truly say that? And now, let's go further still. Beyond politics, beyond jobs, beyond culture, there is an even deeper enslavement. You are a prisoner of your body. Your soul, if you believe you have one, is bound to flesh, bone, and chemical reactions. You can only perceive reality through your senses, only experience time in one direction, only live within the limits of biology. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who was himself a slave, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And yet, how can you master yourself when even your desires, your instincts, your fears are dictated by a body you did not choose? You cannot stop hunger. You cannot escape from dying. You cannot free yourself from pain. Even here, in the sanctuary of your own being, you are bound. Now you might ask, why does any of this matter? Why should I care if my freedom is an illusion? Here is why it matters. Because if you do not see the cage, you cannot escape it. If you do not know the game, you cannot play it differently. The illusion of freedom makes you passive. It makes you obedient. It makes you spend your life defending systems that exploit you. It makes you fight your neighbor instead of questioning your master. It makes you cling to identities and beliefs that were never yours. But once you see it, even if you cannot escape entirely, you begin to reclaim pieces of yourself. You begin to question. You begin to resist. And most importantly, you begin to choose with awareness, instead of sleepwalking through a dream that was written for you. So now I challenge you. Where is your freedom? In your job? In your vote? In your money? In your mind? Or are these just layers of the same illusion? You may think freedom is a birthright, but what if it is not? What if freedom is not something given to you by governments or markets, but something you must create in defiance of them? And what if, even deeper, you realize that absolute freedom does not exist at all? That even your soul is bound to your body, and your body is bound to the universe? That you are chained not only by society, but by existence itself? This is where the illusion becomes unbearable, because you may not be free even in your own thoughts. The beliefs you hold most dearly, the causes you fight for, the values you defend, are they truly yours, or were they handed to you by forces older and greater than you can imagine? You wanted freedom. You were promised freedom. But what you were given was something else, a script, a role in a play where the ending was already written. You may change the costume, improvise a few lines, but the stage, the story, the walls of the theater, they are not yours to alter. The question is, will you continue acting as if the play is real? Or will you tear through the script, risk the wrath of the director, and seek something beyond the stage? I cannot answer that for you. No one can. But I will leave you with this. The first step toward real freedom is to see the illusion. The second is to question everything you were told. The third is to reclaim whatever fragments of choice still exist. But beware, because freedom is not comfort. Freedom is not safety. Freedom is not the life you were sold. Freedom is terrifying, lonely, and dangerous. And that is why so few truly seek it. So now I ask you, not as a citizen, not as a worker, not as a believer, but as a human being, are you ready to face the truth? Or will you go back to your chains, grateful that they feel so familiar? The choice, if you can still call it yours, is waiting.